Yes, I'm Batman.
I'm Batman. I'm Batman, Alfred.
I'm Batman.
I am Batman.
I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
Greetings, Bat Family, and welcome back to Holy BatCast, brought to you by Real Fans for Real Movies. Please visit our website, holybatcast.com. It is your one-stop shop for all things Holy BatCast. You can find us all over the internet, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and on YouTube. Just search for Holy BatCast, and you will find us. And if you love the show and would like to support the show in a more official way, you can do that on Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/holybatcast. And as always, a huge thank you to anyone who does that. It really does mean the world to us. So again, patreon.com/holybatcast. We're part of the Real Fans Podcast Network. So if you're listening, or if you're looking for other shows to listen to, you can do that. Check it out at rf4rm.com. As always, I'm your host, Andy DiGenova, and if you'd like to follow me, you can do that on Twitter or on Instagram. It's just my name, Andy DiGenova, ANDYDIGENOVA. Now, this episode is another celebration. We celebrated our 200 episodes a few episodes ago, but now we're going to celebrate 1,000 issues of Detective Comics. It's a huge celebration of Batman's 80th birthday. Actually, those are two different things, but they're two celebrations that are happening right now at the same time. So we're really celebrating both. But we're going to look at the big celebration issue of Detective Comics, number 1000. Joining me, my partner in crime, the Joker to my Batman, Mr. Jamie Drewley. Hey, Jamie.
The party's never ending. We're always celebrating some shit around here.
You know, you got to. There's always something to celebrate. Find the good things, celebrate those.
That's true. I mean, it's not like these are those random made-up holidays like chocolate peanut butter candy bar day or something like that, you know?
Right.
Although I must admit I would celebrate that. So.
Although technically Batman Day in September is a made-up holiday, but I still happily celebrate it when they do it every
that's
year.
Legit. That's a nationally registered holiday.
I mean, that's a religious holiday. I should get the day off work.
Fair point.
I'd be like, you can't tell me how to worship. I'm taking Batman Day. Starts on sundown, right when the Waynes are about to get shot. Anyway, good to be back. We threw our listeners for a loop and released an extra little episode. People were like, hey, wait a minute. You said you were going to be gone, and I was gone, but we still did it. So, boom. But I'm back in the United States for a little while, which is exciting to me because I miss Taco Bell.
There's no Taco Bell in China?
So in China, there is many Starbucks, which makes me happy. There was McDonald's, Burger King, Pizza Hut, KFC. They love KFC, by the way, I found out. They love it. But no Taco Bell. I could not find a Taco Bell. So
didn't anybody tell them that Taco Bell wins the franchise wars?
I know. Long story short, I quit my job. I can't go. I can't live without Taco Bell. It's just not going to happen. So
how the hell are you going to have Burger King and not have Taco Bell? That's some shit.
I know.
And then have KFC and Pizza Hut over there to boot. It's not like, you know, they're not letting PepsiCo stuff over there.
I know. KFC,
weird.
Taco Bell, Pizza Hut are part of a family, and they just don't have the Taco Bell. It's very sad. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to die. Goodbye, cruel world.
Do they have Panda Express?
They don't. Not that I saw. They should. But anyway, I am back from China for a little while, and while I was gone, we got the release of Detective Comics number 1000, so I couldn't wait, so I bought it digitally, and then I just got back into the States, and so I ran over to my local comic book shop and picked up my physical copy. And I shared that, and you, as always, the overachiever, bought like 8,000 versions.
I bought like 12 or 13.
That's a lot of versions, considering they're $10 a pop.
Actually, no, they were $7 a pop.
Were they?
Yeah. What are you guys getting overcharged out west or what?
It says $9.99 right on the cover.
Oh, that's right. It's because I pre-order my stuff and I get 30% discount.
Do they give? Is that what? Like, okay, because yeah, I'm like, it definitely says $9.99. Yep, there it is.
Yep, I got charged $6.99 a piece for them.
Well, that's nice. That's nice of your local.
So I had savings, which is how I could afford to buy all of them as I did. I even bought 2 of the Miller variant.
Because why not?
Well, I wanted one that I could read, and I'd heard the nightmare stories about how hard it was to see some of the splash pages because of how tight the binding was. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to have one that I'm not going to worry about being a little bit abusive to so that I can see all that stuff. So I got two.
Well, funny you should mention that. That is what made me very happy that I bought digital. And I'm not trying to sell you on digital. I know it ain't going to happen. But, like, because of that, like, I read the digital one first out in China. And then I came back and I reread the physical one. And yeah, those great 2-page layouts are kind of ruined in the physical copy, whereas they're beautiful and unsullied in the digital. So I was like, well, I'm actually really glad that I have the digital one so I get the full-on 2-page layout.
Well, it's a damned if you do and damned if you don't, because some of these Marvel books that they publish that are, spectacular things like the one that stands out in my mind most recently was Amazing Spider-Man number 800. That was the big landmark issue most recently that I can think of that Marvel had. And that was a $10 book, and it's thick. It's 80 or 100 pages or whatever it is. I mean, it's about like this book here, but it's got the standard stapled binding. So it's easier to, open it up and see those pages and everything. But with two staples holding all those pages together, that binding is pretty flimsy in that book. So again, do you go with the one that's sturdier, or do you go with the one that's easier to read the pages that's not going to be durable? So kind of a catch-22 there.
Yeah, I guess you're right, unless you go digital. And then
Please don't say that to me
and
again.
then it's
It
fine.
hurts my ears when you say that.
It's totally fine. Well, hey, I do both. Look at that. Boom. But
Well, one of these days when they actually make DC Universe available on a format that I can watch it on my TV, then I'll start reading more digital stuff, because I don't know if you saw this, but they announced they're putting every single digital comic book in DC's digital library on that sucker.
I heard. That's exciting. That's really exciting.
And if I'm not mistaken, all new books will land within 12 months of initial release on there as well.
Oh, well, good. You did more reading on it than I did. Except I'm going to be in China, and my DC Universe doesn't work out there. So that's going to be tricky. I'm going to have to talk. All of a sudden, I'm out here gloating to our pals in Australia that we have DC Universe and they don't. And the universe is like, ha, Andy, ha, go to China. Now see what it's like. See how the other half live.
One of our pals in the UK, and I won't drop any names, I will give it to you in private later on when we're not recording, has figured out a way around this. So I will mention his name to you off air, and you can contact him and see how he did it and see if it can work for you when you're...
Yeah, I've already got some things I want to try the next time I'm there. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, back to Detective Comics 1000. It is out. You bought 13 copies, you insane human being. I bought 3 copies. Digital, regular, and then I got the Tim Sale variant. Do you know what's funny is I looked at all the variants in advance, and I didn't fall in love with any of them. So I was literally like, we'll see what's there when I go to the comic book shop. And like, if there's one that I like, I'll grab it. But none of them were like... some of the retailer exclusive ones were awesome, but like the standard ones, just none of them really did it for me.
Everybody's talking about that Alex Ross one.
Yeah,
I almost ordered one of those.
That should have been the real one.
If I ordered that one, then in the next thing you know, I'd be ordering 5 or 6 others. And then the next thing you know, I'll go on a lifelong quest trying to make sure I get every single one that's ever published. And although I may be ridiculous enough to buy 13 copies of the ones that landed in my shop, I'm not ridiculous enough to try and do that, because Action 1000, I mean, there's, as far as I know, there's like dozens, maybe hundreds of those out there. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure it's no different here with the detective stuff. So,
well, I'm glad you have a limit. It ain't much of a limit, but you have one.
It's not. Well, I mean, that's the stupid thing. I kept thinking to myself, just get like the Miller variant, maybe like one other, and, be done with it. And then that's the sensible angel on my right shoulder. Then the devil pops up on my left shoulder and goes, you'll never sleep right at night again if you don't buy every single one of those.
I'll let you know how I sleep tonight, but I think I'll be all right.
Yeah, most people would be, but I have that weird completionist thing happening, so.
Anyway, we picked it up. We've read it. I read it twice. Read it on the plane home to the States. Do you know what else I watched on my flight home? This is not has nothing to do with anything, but
Final Destination.
No, it's at least DC related. I revisited the 1990 Flash series, and God, I love that show. Such a good show.
I have not seen it in eons, and I never did even finish it when it was airing live. I think I missed like 5 episodes of it, but I always enjoyed it. I
love it. It's on DC Universe, but I actually had already owned it on iTunes, and so yeah, I was like, for some reason, I just had the urge to watch it, so I watched it. I watched the pilot, which is like a movie, and then I watched the second episode on my flight home from China, and I was like, man, I love this show. So now I think I'm like rehooked, and I'm probably just going to revisit the whole darn series.
It only had the one season, right?
Yeah, it's just one season. It's not that big of a commitment. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I just mentioning it because I love that show. I will say, and this is going to be a hot take, and people are going to burn me at the stake for it, but but I'm gonna say it anyway. How is it that the Flash costume from 1990 is better than the Flash TV costume from 2015 or whenever that show premiered, and the Flash movie costume from 2017?
I don't have any explanation.
Because I looked at it, I'm like, man, that still looks better than the other 2 Flashes we've gotten. Sorry.
I actually kind of like the one that they're using currently on the show.
I just wish his head didn't look like a bubble. His head is just huge, and I don't know what the heck I don't know what to do about that. From the neck down, I love it, but there's something about that helmet. But anyway, back to Detective 1000. Whenever we talk about one of these kind of landmark issues, or we've done a few of these, like where we've done the holiday special, we did Action 1000, where we just kind of went story by story and just shared our thoughts on it. So this is the same format as Action Comics 1000, where they got a bunch of creative all-stars, writers, and artists and colorists, and brought them all together, and they all got to do a little mini story. And so this is a compilation of a lot of Batman mini stories from a lot of renowned Batman creators, not to mention all the covers and everything, which you can see. So we'll give our overall impressions of it. We're not worrying about spoilers, so either read it or you're just gonna hear what we think of everything anyway. So just FYI, but it's out there. It's $9.99. It is 96 pages. It's a nice big full volume, but it is a landmark issue. It's Detective 1000. If you're a Batman fan, you're listening to Holy BatCast, you should own this. Anyway, so we'll start just overall thoughts on what we felt about the book, and then we'll just go story by story. So Jamie, tell me what you thought.
I think I'm just going to reiterate verbally what I said to you in the messenger when we were kind of plotting this out for tonight. Most of these stories started off with me being like a kid coming downstairs on Christmas morning and ended like every single gift I got was another lump of coal. I don't hate this book, but I don't love this book. And there's very little about this book I do love outside of most of the artwork.
I will tell you, I don't think I feel quite as strongly as you, but I was a little let down by it. When I finished reading it, I was like, oh, okay, I guess that's it. And I felt I totally get where you're coming from as far as some of the stories, because as the story started, you're like, oh, all right, this could be interesting and promising, and I just felt like a lot of them did not deliver on that promise. There are 2 stories that I legitimately love, and a couple that I think are pretty good, and then a couple where I was like, what? I think it's very much a mixed bag, but there's some interesting stuff in there. As you mentioned, there's some really good artwork in it. I do like the all-star collection. To me, that's a lot of fun. But yeah, a lot of these stories didn't work for me, and so I did leave a little underwhelmed.
For the most part, I think we're on the same page then, other than there's no stories in here that I loved. There's some in here I like. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's any that I truly hate, but it's, what'd you say it was, 96 pages?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably like 85 pages of mediocrity then.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
For Detective 1000, I did want something truly like exceptional, and I felt like I don't know, I just feel like everyone wrote their stories and they were like, yeah, okay, good enough. Like, I just don't think, I felt like there was no quality control. It was literally just like, whatever you want to do, we're fine with it. We're just going to throw it all together and it'll be Detective 1000.
Yeah. And, if you call back to what we did for Action 1000 last year or whenever that was, there was some stuff that I was less than impressed with in that too. But there were genuinely a handful that I really liked and a couple that I genuinely did love in that one.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
I unfortunately don't have this one on that same level.
Yeah, I felt like Action Comics 1000 was a little more successful with this format. I do think that there were some more stories in there that I just think were overall a little better than what we're getting here.
Yeah, and I've talked about this just a little bit and listened to some other folks talk about it, and I think the general fan community is kind of on the same page with this. But what keeps going through my head, and I haven't heard anybody address yet, and maybe it's just me hoping or whatever, they're going to do this again in a year.
When it's actually the anniversary of his first appearance, because he didn't show up till Detective 27.
So I'm wondering if maybe they aren't holding back some A-tier stuff for that. I mean, that might be ridiculous to think it, but since
I don't think they're thinking
I'm
that
most
far
likely
ahead.
going to spend an obscene amount of money buying 10 to 13 versions of that when it comes out. I'm going to hope that it's better.
I mean, I don't think they're thinking that far ahead. I don't think they're like, hey, this is really good, but we're not going to use it for another year. But I am hoping that maybe they will see what they did here and go, we can do better. And whatever we get in a year, it will be better.
Well, somebody just released a Superman story. I don't know, what was it, 2-3 months back? I can't even remember which writer it was, and I'm going to kick myself in the butt for it. I want to say it was Wolfman. That was written like in 1996 or 1993 or something like that. So, I mean, sometimes they think that far ahead, I guess.
Yeah, maybe. All right, jumping into it. 1,000 issues, Detective Comics. Here we go. Jumping in. The first one here is called Batman's Longest Case. And this is written by Scott Snyder, art by Greg Capullo. And so again, guys, I'm just going to speak freely. Basically, this is Batman has been on the trail of this mystery for years, like one clue to the next that's taken him all over the world. Like the glass that took him to Japan, and then Japan took him to Egypt, and he just went everywhere. And eventually, after years and years of following this trail, he's like, I don't know who is leading me on this. Someone formidable, someone brilliant. It's not the Riddler. It's not the Court of Owls. It's not Ra's al Ghul. Who is it? And then he finally comes to the end of the search. It's in an apartment in Gotham, and it is the Guild of Detection. It's all the world's greatest detectives. So it's Martian Manhunter, Hawkman, Hawkgirl, The Question, Elongated Man, Detective Chimp, and some girl who I do not recognize and I don't even think get a line of dialogue. Oh, is it Ralph's wife maybe?
Sure.
Could be Ralph's wife, but she's dead unless she's now alive again. Who knows? And then Detective Slam Bradley, who I've never heard of. And they're like, hey, welcome to the Guild of Detection. We set this up for you years ago, and now you're finally here. And there you have it. Jamie, what are your thoughts on this one?
I guess I'll jump straight to the end because, hey, who's podcasting here? I was just waiting for Batman to say to Detective Chimp or one of these guys, do you realize how many people died at the hands of the Joker because I was distracted by this mystery that you guys laid out for me and I didn't focus on that? I know that's a cynical approach, and I know this book's supposed to have a little bit of fun and celebration to it. So I get where they're going with the story. This one just didn't really land particularly well with me.
Yeah, I like the idea of like, oh, this one is a celebration of the world's greatest detective aspect of Batman. Like, that's kind of cool. But yeah, like this wild goose chase that takes him all over the world and takes him years. And like, they're all sitting in the room when he finally gets there. Like, how long have they been sitting in that room waiting for him?
A minute.
It's just, I don't know, like... it just seems like a lot. I like the idea better than I liked the execution. And also, if he is the world's greatest detective, why did it take him years? He should not, like this, if anything, makes Batman look dumber instead of like one of the world's greatest detectives. Because he should have been able to solve this in days, not years.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was a cute idea. I just don't, for me, the execution didn't really work. And then I do like the idea of like, every question is not about the answer. Every question leads you to a new question. Like, I think it ends on kind of a nice note along those lines, but it was not my favorite of the collection.
I think I'll co-sign most of that.
Okay, that's it. Nothing else to add?
No, I don't have much to say there.
All right, next one, Manufacture for Use, written by Kevin Smith, pencils by Jim Lee. So this one is Bruce is undercover as Matches Malone. He goes to the Gotham gift shop that specializes in selling artifacts from famous crimes around Gotham, and he is buying the gun that Joe Chill used to kill his parents. While this transaction is happening, we are getting flashbacks to some of his greatest battles with his Rogues Gallery, with the Joker and the Penguin and Mr. Freeze and Catwoman and Clayface, etc., etc. And so we're seeing that intercut with this with him buying the gun that killed his parents. He brings the gun back to the Batcave. Alfred is like, hey, like, listen, I get your trophy room, but even for you, the gun that killed your parents seems pretty grim. And he said, oh, it's not going into the trophy room. And he melts it down and creates a breastplate out of it. And he said that, the hunk of metal that broke my heart as a child will protect my heart as an adult. And that's justice. So, Jamie.
This is one that I'm more positive on than most of the others. First and foremost, I want to call out the first page of this story, the rendering of Joker squirting the flower. That is a gorgeous Joker. I love Jim Lee. I think that Joker is fantastic there. I love seeing onomatopoeia in here, and I wish to God Kevin Smith would finish up that whole thing that he was working on. Thought that was supposed to happen, but has not yet. So anyway,
is that who the guy in the black and the trench coat is?
Yeah, with like the kind of bullseye looking thing on his face.
Because that's like the one where I was like, I don't know who that is.
Oh, you've never read that?
No.
Cacophony or Widening Gyre?
No. I had not heard good things about either, so they just weren't at the top of my list.
I know that they're not like beloved by the universe, but I think they're both quite good.
One of these days, once all of them drop on DC Universe, I'll finally get a chance.
There you go. It's cool, seeing the flashbacks. I mean, you even get a pretty cool Zaz in there and Croc and Harley. I mean, a lot of really good stuff going on with the art here, but I'm a Jim Lee apologist. He's my favorite comic book artist of all time. So, I mean, I'm not going to say a lot of bad words about Jim Lee. I don't think this is his best work I've ever seen from him, but I still think the art is very good in this story. And I think this story's heart's absolutely in the right place. I didn't try to ruin you there. I'm sorry. That's not what I was trying to do. I like Smith as a comic book writer. In fact, I think I like him probably better as a comic writer than I do as a movie writer, especially nowadays. But something here just felt to me like maybe it needed... I would have liked to have seen this done as a full issue instead of a short story.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think a few more details would have really fleshed this out and made it something special.
Okay.
And I'm not saying there's anything particularly wrong with what was presented or how it was presented. I just think maybe it's just me wanting more out of it, which I guess is credit to the writer there. But I like this one. I think this is one of my... I guess you could say favorites out of the bunch.
Okay. This is my favorite one of the whole book. And it's funny because this is one where they don't tell you the title or the credits until the end of the story. So I didn't even know it was Kevin Smith. But as I was reading it, I was like, okay, this art's great. I really like the story they're telling. I liked where it landed as far as what he was going to use the gun for. And then when I saw, oh, it's Kevin Smith and it's Jim Lee, well, no wonder I like it so much. And again, Kevin Smith, I can't speak a lot to his comic book writing because I haven't read a lot of his comics, but I just like him as a guy. Yeah, this is my favorite one. For me, this is what a celebration of Batman, in Detective Comics number 1000 should be. It very much is telling a new story by using the legacy of the character and the past and where he came from, and it's still a fresh spin but using very familiar things. As I read it a second time, I realized, in every flashback the villain damages him right in the middle of the chest, and I didn't even notice that the first time. I just was like, oh cool, fighting the Joker, fighting Catwoman, fighting Mr. Freeze. And then once I read it a second time and I knew where it was going, I was like, oh duh, like it's showing how every time each of these villains has gone after his chest, and that's why this gun breastplate is going right there. Yeah, this is my favorite one. I love it. I think the art is great, the writing is great, it's punchy, it's heartfelt, it's interesting, and I love that it's still telling his new story, but the way they're able to get all these different moments and all these different villains into this one story, I think is really creative. So for me, I thought this was the best of the bunch. So when I said there are two that I really love, this is one of those two. I
bet your other one that you really love is my favorite in the book. But we'll cross that bridge when
we'll see. But I mean, the other one probably is not going to be a shock. I don't think so.
Yeah, then I think I'm exactly right then.
But yeah, I think this one is tops for me. So kudos to Kevin Smith. I do think it's a little heavy-handed, but I don't mind that, especially when you're doing something in such a short format. You gotta just go all in. There's not as much time or room for subtlety, and so don't really have an issue with that. I like this one a lot.
Not really much to complain about with this one. So,
all right, the next one is The Legend of Newt Brody, and this one's written by Paul Dini, pencils by Dustin Nguyen. So this one, it's like Gotham Insider. So they're like doing this expose on the world's worst henchman, Newt Brody, and they talk to all the different supervillains. They talk to Harley Quinn, they talk to the Riddler, they talk to Poison Ivy, Mad Hatter, and they all talk about how, they all made the mistake of hiring this Newt Brody, and he's the worst henchman ever. He ruins it every time. He screws things up. Somehow we always get caught because he just is that incompetent. And Poison Ivy's like, well, don't worry, I killed him, it's fine. And in the end, you learn that Newt Brody is a shared alias between the Bat family. They will all occasionally dress up like him and infiltrate the villain's gang and then screw up the plans, and so Batman's got someone on the inside. They're ready to now retire Newt because now it's on TV, and so like too much exposure, and Damien's a little sad because he wanted to get his chance to go play Newt Brody too. So yeah, Jamie, The Legend of Newt Brody.
It was fun to a degree, but and I'm not trying to toot my horn about how smart I am or anything, but like 2 pages into this thing, I was like, okay, which one of the Bat family is this guy? Mm-hmm. Like I didn't see the twist of it being like 4 or 5 different people using it, but I kept thinking to myself, they're gonna pull it and it's gonna be some obscure member of Batman's extended family. I didn't think it was gonna be like Nightwing or Alfred or anything like that. I thought it was gonna be just some weird random thing that they use for the secret identity of this person, if you will. But mm-hmm. I mean, it's fine. I didn't ever get heavily invested. There was a couple eye roll moments that I had in here, just because of how hokey it was. But I don't think this is particularly a story that's meant to be taken too seriously. So, again, fun. It's not anything that I want to berate in any way, but not one of my favorites in the book.
All right. I think fun is the right word for it. I didn't mind it. I liked it. It was fun, but that's kind of it. There's not much else to it. It's just a fun little story, little side story about something we'd never heard of before. I think it's creative, but yeah, there's not a lot to it. It's just a pretty light, little fun, little diversion.
Yep.
But All right. I think this almost to your point earlier, like this could have made like a really fun animated series episode where
Right. And that's just it. You know, it's kind of in the very distant spirit of like a Almost Got Him.
Yeah, right.
That same thing where like the villains are talking about, you know, these experiences they had from a different perspective or what have you. It just, I don't know. I don't think it was quite that strong, but you know, you kind of feel that it's a spiritual relative to that, if you will.
Yeah, that makes sense. The one thing I will say is I don't think I approve of Alfred going out as Newt Brody, because he even says like he's the one who got shot up by the Joker, and I'm like, Alfred is not a young man. I do not like putting him in the line of fire that way. Like if it's Nightwing, if it's Barbara, if it's Jason, that's all fine, but I just feel like Alfred shouldn't have to do that.
I mean, it's not like he's never put himself in danger before, so that didn't really cross my mind.
Like he shouldn't go out there and be the be whatever the human target. So anyway, it was all right. Next one, The Batman's Design. This one is written by Warren Ellis and art by Becky Cloonan. This one is like there's like a heist going on. And Batman's essentially stopping the gang one by one. He like knows the gang. He knows who they are. He knows their histories. He knows their weaknesses. And so he just kind of takes them out one by one until it gets to the leader who's like ready to blow them up. And he says, oh, I know this guy. Like he doesn't know if he's more afraid of dying or living. And so Batman kind of goes up and he says, hey, look at me. I'm already dead. I'm trapped in this place. All I do is haunt the living. Is that what you want for yourself? And then this guy like says no, and he hands over the detonator. Jamie.
I gotta tell you, this is possibly the one that I was looking forward to the most in this book. I am not a Warren Ellis super fan, but I have been reading his Wildstorm book since its inception a couple of years back in DC Comics. Well, not inception, but like the current series. I've been reading that since it started 2 years ago, whatever it was. And I've loved that book. I've loved pretty much every issue of that book, and it's like 22 issues deep. And I think it's fantastic. I think it's one of the best written books that in my pull list anytime it comes out. It's almost always, you know, top 3 or 4 on my stack whenever it comes out, if not on top. So I was really looking forward to reading a Warren Ellis Batman story. I was really not happy with the Warren Ellis Batman story. I think the artwork in this is one of the better ones in the entire book. I really enjoy the art and the coloring and everything in this one, but this story just did not click with me, especially not that ending. Like it just felt flimsy, I guess. Mm-hmm. I'm not crazy about it. I love looking at it. I don't really think it's. Maybe my expectations were too high for this one, but I was not a fan of this story.
I had no expectations of it going in, and I still didn't like it. I agree with you. I think the art is interesting because it's different, it's unique, but it just feels like nothing happens in this. He just stops some bad guys, and then the whole thing at the end is like, oh, look at me, I'm already dead. You don't want to end up like me. I'm like, what? That just sounds like nonsense. Like, to me, that doesn't feel like Batman, using himself as like a cautionary tale for a villain. I don't know. Like to me, it just seems forced, I guess is a good word for it, and kind of trite.
Yeah.
Like I don't buy that as like the twist at the end is, oh, you're not afraid to die? Well, look at me. I'm already dead. What? No. Stupid.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about it at all.
All right. Well, good. Yeah, this one, honestly, I hadn't even forgotten about one until I reread it, and I was like, oh, wait, what the hell was this? And I was like, oh, that's why I forgot about it, because nothing happens.
Yeah, kind of.
All right, next one. Next one is Return to Crime Alley. This one is a Denny O'Neil one, art by Steve Epting. So it is the anniversary of the Wayne murders, and so Leslie Tompkins is there waiting on Bruce. She knew Bruce would be there. Sure enough, Bruce is there as Batman. At the same time, these delinquents, they like break into a store, they steal some masks, they steal a gun, they're causing trouble. Not to tip my hand, but Leslie Tompkins gets on her high horse and starts lecturing Bruce about crap. And then these kids run up. Bruce smacks him around a bit, and Leslie's like, "No, Bruce, stop, Bruce. You're becoming a monster."
Why does everybody read this with sound effects? It's funny. I listened to the Comics Now review about this, and Brian Warshaw threw in Leslie Tompkins' voice that's probably going to haunt me till the day I die.
It literally says Leslie Tompkins' voice is shrill and edged with panic. So yeah, that's how I heard it.
Okay.
Bruce, no, cut it out. Don't hurt the bad guys. And then Bruce is like, "What, do you feel sorry for them?" And Leslie's like, "No, I feel sorry for you." And that's the end of it. Fuck this story. Fuck it. This is the stupidest thing.
Well, I guess I just have to say it then. Denny O'Neil writing a story with Leslie Tompkins, I brightened up like a little kid on Christmas when I opened this story. I was like, "Oh, Leslie." 2 pages into it, I was like, "Oh, Christ, Denny, what are you doing to me here?" And then when it ended, I was like, "This looks familiar to me. Why does this, I mean, this conversation at some point had to have been had before, right?" And then it turns out this is apparently like a reboot of a story that Denny O'Neil wrote in like the 70s.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I'm not saying I've even read that story. I kept thinking to myself, how have they not had this conversation before now? Because Leslie is kind of like his conscience to push him toward a normal life instead of being Batman. You know, Alfred has a tendency of wanting that for him, but won't take anything away from him to make it happen. Versus Leslie is like the stern mother voice of, you need to, stop doing this and be a normal person. And, you've heard me on the show. I advocate Leslie Tompkins. I think she's a great character, but this story certainly doesn't support my theory on that. I don't.
That's just it. Is like she is one of his like moral centers, and I've always liked that about her. But this feels so far over the line where she's like she's extremely judgmental against him and what he's trying to do, and it's like, I don't know, like it just rubbed me the wrong way. And especially because I thought, oh, maybe at the end she would kind of acknowledge like, no, he's still doing good in the world, but no, it just ends on another judgy note, and that's it.
I must say, though, that one page where it's like Batman looking over the top of himself as a child while his parents are shot by Joe Chill, I wish the other panels weren't on that page and that thing was a full splash, because that's a gorgeous piece of work right there.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. That is great.
But story-wise, man, I can't with this one. I just can't.
Nope, me either. I don't like it. Don't like it at all.
And I hate saying that about a story with Leslie Tompkins, because I get so little Leslie. But, I got to call it like I see it, and I didn't see anything there that was worth taking up 5 or 6 pages.
Yeah, and I was shocked that Denny O'Neil would write this, like so one-sidedly. I don't know. Like, it's just weird to me that, like, it's a whole story condemning Batman for being Batman. I don't know. Didn't work for me. All right, next one up. Here we go. What's this one called? I gotta flip forward what's this one called? Heretic. This one is written by Christopher Priest, art by Neil Adams. So there are some murders in Gotham, and the body is found with the Thomas and Martha Wayne Foundation business card. So Batman is hot on the trail. He thinks it has to do with the League of Assassins. He goes after Ra's al Ghul. He thinks Ra's al Ghul is responsible. Ra's al Ghul's like, yeah, he was one of mine. Yeah, he's dead, but I'm not the one who killed him. You could have just emailed me. So go figure it out, but it wasn't me. And so basically, Batman finds out it was the guy's brother because when Bruce Wayne initially came to the League of Assassins, he like planted doubt in the minds of all these potential assassins. So a bunch of them wanted to defect, and because they wanted to defect, they got killed. And so Bruce is to blame for inspiring members of the Leagues of Assassins to try to no longer be a part of the League. And so it kind of ends on a note where Batman is like, okay, well, you're going to go after these people who defect, but I'm going to go after to protect them. And that is that story. So, Jamie? It's a Ra's al Ghul story.
Yeah,
sort of.
yeah. I like Christopher Priest. I think he's a very unique voice. I understand he's not a writer that will appeal to everyone because he is as unique as he is, the way he does presentation and dialogue and everything. I'm a fan. I like it. He's been doing Deathstroke since, that book kicked off in Rebirth. I think his work there has been consistently pretty solid. He had a brief arc in Justice League after Brian Hill, not Brian Hill. I can't remember his name now. I blocked it from my mind because I got mad at him the other day. Anyway, he had a brief stint in Justice League, and I enjoyed that, although it didn't seem like a lot of people did. He's just one of those writers that has not got mass appeal, but I like him. I'm a fan of his work. I think it's good. And I think this is some of the better Neil Adams artwork I've seen. Not like he's been like super busy working on stuff recently, but like he did that Dead Man miniseries last year. That was, first of all, terribly written, and second of all, had some of the ugliest artwork you'd ever see. This is some pretty good artwork here. I especially like on the title page, that center panel in the bottom of Batman's face. I think that's good work. I think
I
really
agree.
good.
That's one of my favorite panels in this one. I agree with you.
But so anyway,
his Batman in here still looks really good.
Yeah, the next page at the bottom when he's having kind of the face-to-face shouting match with Ra's, I think that's pretty solid. A little shaky here and there, but I mean mostly good. The story itself, it's another one I think that the heart is kind of in the right place, but it doesn't have any like super effective closure for me.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like this one's fine. I don't love it. I don't dislike it. It's fine. I like the art most of all. I do like Neil Adams' art. He's not what he used to be, but I think that that's normal. I think that as artists age, they don't. Every part of them ages, including their hands, and the art doesn't always stay the same. We've seen it with Frank Miller. We've seen it with Neil Adams, and I think we're starting to see it with Jim Lee, as much as I hate to say it. Just a little bit. It just changes a little bit as they age. But I still think Neil Adams, on a bad day, I still really like what he does with Batman. And I'm not throwing shade. It's just, it's the reality. We all get older.
I want to call out this panel. It's, getting toward the end there where Batman's kind of crouched down on top of the dragon with the snow, and there's like the Chinese building in the background. Yeah. That whole panel right there is just solid as hell. I mean, just the way the snow is sitting on that building looks so natural and beautiful. I just everything about that is really good work there, I think.
Yeah. So I do really like the art in this. I think that the story is a good idea for a story, but I just think it's a little convoluted, and it should have been streamlined somehow.
Yeah. Well, I will say Priest stories can be convoluted. So I mean it doesn't come as a surprise to me there, but usually he sticks a landing pretty well. And here I think that was actually the part this story was missing, is that there was no effect to the end of it. I mean, I know I already said that, but I mean I don't know any other way to phrase it, in that there's not really anything wrong with the way it ended. There's not really anything wrong with the way it led to it necessarily. It just, again, much like with maybe the Kevin Smith one, maybe being a full issue arc would have helped flesh things out and make this more of a story that I could have appreciated. But as is, it's fine. Mm-hmm. That's
yeah. I think you're right. I think maybe he was just trying to shove a little too much into just a few pages, and I respect that as far as ambition goes. But yeah, it just feels a little scattered for trying to tell that story in such a short amount of time. I think it would have benefited from either being a longer story in a more traditional format, or some streamlining in what he was trying to do. So Yeah, this one I think is okay. And for me, I do think the standout is the art. I didn't like hate the writing. I just think it could have used a little bit of finesse.
And back to that title page again, where it's in fact the next panel to the right of that Batman headshot that I mentioned. Priest does snark better than anybody working in comics right now. Like the way that Deathstroke talks to his kids and they talk back to him, and the way Wintergreen interacts, both the AI and the real one, it's kind of funny how he does the dialogue. And I don't know why, but it got to that thing where like Gordon's talking to Batman in the next panel, and Gordon's like, "And I'm talking to myself," because Batman's vanished. I got a huge chuckle out of that. I don't know why.
Yeah,
it's silly, I know, but and it's been played to death. It's not like we haven't seen this 100 different times in 100 different ways. But I got a good chuckle out of that.
Sweet. Hey, the classics never die. You can always do the moment where Batman disappears. All right, cool. Moving forward, the next one is called I Know, and it's written by Brian Michael Bendis with art by Alex Maleev.
Not a name I'm familiar with, but I'm going to pay attention to it now because I did very much enjoy the artwork here.
Yeah, I agree. It was really different, but really cool. It was interesting.
It's got almost kind of that Joelle Jones realism style to it, which I really love her artwork. So I definitely appreciated that about this story.
So this is like years into the future. So we have an elderly Oswald Cobblepot coming to speak with an elderly Bruce Wayne. And he wants Bruce Wayne to know that he has known for years that he was Batman. And so he tells him the story of how he learned he was Batman and how he was ready to kill him. He had the army ready to go to invade Wayne Manor and kill him and be done with it. And he stopped himself because he said, what if I miss? I'd missed before. So many people have missed. And if I destroy Bruce Wayne, but I can't destroy Batman, then we're all dead. And he's like, that's why I let you live. But just know that I knew. And then Bruce is like, yeah, I knew you knew. But I also knew you were a coward. And old man Bruce sends a shock to Oswald, and
he gives him the R2-D2 zap.
Oh, all right, yeah, that's true. He does. So they haul off Oswald, and old man Bruce is sitting there in the wheelchair, and he ends with good visit. So, thoughts on I know.
The nods to Batman Returns in here are fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, this is the DeVito Penguin, which I really liked.
Some panels more than others, but
yeah,
I mean, it's great. You know, that double splash on the title page there with the rocket firing penguins down there at the bottom. That's beautiful work. Just beautiful work. You know, some of the penguin in here looks a little bit more traditional, but like that one shot on the page with the bloody arm laying there, and it's like him looking at the computer monitor from the face view there. That could not be more DeVito Penguin than it is.
Well, and the one underneath it too.
Yeah.
With the umbrella, like, yeah, it's just right out of the movie.
But then on the next page, it kind of goes away from that look just a little bit again. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not criticizing that. I do like that it's clearly giving nods to Batman Returns because, you know, you and I obviously are fans of that, even though maybe not everybody is. I think that's great. This story I really thought was going to go someplace and stick a landing, and that last page just let me down like crazy.
What way? Tell me more.
I just didn't like the fact that Penguin is giving this revelation to him, and his reaction to it is giving him the R2-D2 zap and then saying good visit. I mean, it just doesn't close things out well, in my opinion.
I felt like good visit was such a like ending, you know? I was okay with him still having the upper hand on Oswald because he should, but yeah, like for that last panel, it was a bit of a it lacks punch, I guess. Let's say.
Yeah, the I knew you knew thing. I mean, that's whatever. I mean, it's Batman. We know he knows things that are implausible at times. That's fine. Not particularly. Again, I don't want to act like I can fix a writer's work, but if it would have been something more like, you could have rolled over on me and told everybody else, but can you imagine the horrors that I would have inflicted on you had you ruined my life like that or something? And it just, that's kind of more what I was expecting, like leading into it. And then that last confrontation page that they had there, I don't know. It just didn't do anything for me in the positive.
No, I agree with that. I think that's like if it had been more of a battle of wits than just and then he shocked him.
I don't hate. I like this story. I just didn't really care for the closure of it. I feel like that was really cheap the way it ended. I guess that's the best way I can sum it up.
Mm-hmm. I liked this one. I wanted to love it, but I liked it. I think it was a cool idea. I think the execution was decent. My biggest issue was, I totally see your point about the way it ended. It just kind of, it doesn't seem like the most satisfying way to end it. But my biggest thing was Oswald's justification for why he didn't do anything. Like, it was almost there, but I didn't think it quite got there. I didn't quite buy it as the reason why he wouldn't do anything for years and years and years with this knowledge. Like I said, I think it was close. It just, for me, I didn't quite buy it. Of like, oh, I would destroy Bruce Wayne, but now not Batman, and Bruce Wayne is his only connection to his humanity or something like that. And I'm like, I guess, but I don't know. I didn't totally buy that.
That's fair, I think.
So, but otherwise, I still liked it. I think it was an interesting idea and at least an intriguing take on the story.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that was kind of a middle of the road one for me in this book.
Yeah. All right. Next one is The Last Crime in Gotham. Written by Jeff Johns, art by Kelly Jones. So this one, it begins and ends with a birthday candle. And we flash forward to the future. And in the future, you've got Bruce. He's married Selina. He's got Damian, all grown up, but still Robin. And now he has a daughter with Selina, who he calls Echo. And then probably like Ace number 2 or Ace number 3. I'm not sure, but it's a dog. So there's been a murder in Gotham in the future. 12 people killed all at once. And it very much mirrors the holiday killings from the Long Halloween. But they say, well, it's not holiday. Alberto Falcone's gone. Harvey and Gilda are gone. It's not that. It's not truly a copycat because they wouldn't have done it all at once. They find out it was the son of the Joker. And it was like the son of the Joker was dying from the same chemicals that killed his father. And this was like his goodbye to Batman, was to do this one last big killing of 12 people, including Calendar Man. But they don't really say who the other ones are. And that's apparently the last crime in Gotham. And now there's really no crime in Gotham and everything's okay. So Bruce is like, well, Jim, go home to your family and I'll do the same because that's what really matters. And then we go back to the birthday candle and we're like in the present. And I guess what we saw was Bruce's birthday wish was crime being finally defeated in Gotham? Question mark?
Yeah, I think you're onto it there. That's where I'm at.
So thoughts on this one?
Okay, so I've kind of said this a couple times about some other stories here, and now I'm going to flip it because this one I thought ended great, but everything leading to the ending, maybe not so much. I don't know. Seeing this artwork, some of it is fantastic. Some of it is like, what the hell were you smoking the day you drew that? Which, that's Kelly Jones. Like not all of Kelly Jones' stuff is going to click in every case. He's a lot like Tim Sale in that he's very stylized. He does things his own way. Doesn't make any apologies for it, nor should he. It's the shortest ears I've ever seen him draw on Batman. I'll say that much. Anyway, I really like the ending in that, this is Bruce is using his birthday wish to, basically take away the necessity for there even to be a Batman or a Bat family. Like that, the idea there, I think works really well. It's just the son of the Joker and a murder-suicide thing, and just, I don't know, it felt kind of off is the only way I can really think to say it there.
Mm-hmm. No, I feel the same way. It's like, I like the idea, again, I like the idea of like, oh, this was Bruce's birthday wish. Like, that's cool, but the actual wish of like being set in the future with this weird copycat murder of 12 people, and the fact that like they solve it right there and they're all like, all right, go home. Like, it just doesn't work for me. Like, the solution for it doesn't work. The fact that like they say something about, oh, they're trying to copycat a bunch of the famous murders at once, but not really. It's really just kind of the Long Halloween all at once. So I don't know. I think the idea was there, but like the whole thing in the future to me just didn't work. It was really weird. It was bizarre. I didn't think it came together. So I appreciated the idea of like, yeah, this is what Bruce would wish for, but I just think that what he wished for should have been something a little more cohesive than this weird 12 people dead around a birthday cake.
Yeah. Once again, maybe a whole issue would have made it function better, but I don't know.
Yeah, like, because I this is one of those where I had to kind of reread it. I'm like, I don't know if this is even making sense.
Johns is better than this. This is the real problem I have with this story. I'm a huge Jeff Johns fan as far as his comic book work is concerned. Like, his Green Lantern run that led into New 52 or finished kind of finished off with Blackest Night was legendary. Like, that is one of the great comic book runs of all time as far as I'm concerned. And that's kind of my introduction to Jeff Johns as a writer. So I've kind of consumed everything I could from him since, as best I could. Obviously I'm still not caught up on everything, but I'm a huge fan of the guy. I think he's one of my favorite writers ever now. And I just do not feel Jeff Johns in this story, if that makes any sense.
Oh, it makes perfect sense. Yeah. I was shocked that this was Jeff Johns too. Because, yeah, he's great. He's incredibly talented. And this one, I don't know. Yep, okay. Not a huge fan of that one. The next one is The Precedent, written by James Tynion IV, and art by Alvaro Martinez Bueno. And so this, we're checking in at the moment where Bruce Wayne has taken in Dick Grayson, and he's having a conversation with Alfred of like, I don't know, Alfred, we're setting a precedent here. We're bringing someone in, we're bringing them into our world. This isn't going to be the last. I don't know how I feel about that. And Alfred is like, well, this isn't the first tortured orphan who's come back to Wayne Manor and we've had to reshape his life. You were the first one, Bruce, and you can help this boy. Like, you had all these struggles. Now you can make it better for him from what you've learned from you. You can help him with friendship and with romance, and he can be forged in the light, and he can help you. He can remind you that, of the excitement and the adventure. And Dick is listening in, and and Bruce is like, well, what about the others? And Alfred's like, what do you mean the others? And Bruce is like, well, let's not pretend. If we do this once, there are going to be others who need our help, and we're not going to be able to say no. And Dick jumps in, is like, then we'll help them too, and we'll do it together. And Dick is the one who really doubles down on what Alfred is saying. The precedent isn't set by me. The precedent was set by you, Bruce. And now we're all just following in that, and we're going to do it together. And so it ends on this dialogue-free splash page of Batman and Robin while Dick Grayson takes the oath with Batman.
Spectacular page.
Totally.
Spectacular.
So, Jamie, thoughts on The Precedent?
My favorite story of the book. It's 4 pages plus that splash page at the end, which is basically a pinup. It's not really a part of the story. It's short, sweet, to the point. It's emotionally effective. It seems to fit very well with the mythos of Batman, and especially with Robin. The conversation with he and Alfred, the fact that Dick was hanging from a chandelier and they didn't know it. I mean, just everything about this story, as limited of a story as it is, clicks. With me, anyway. Mm-hmm. I thought this was fantastic. This was easily my favorite in the book.
All right. This is my second favorite. So yes, of the two that I loved, the first one was the Kevin Smith one. This is the other one. Everyone knows what a big Robin fan I am. I love that James Tynion, who is also a huge Robin fan, I love that he took his short story for Detective 1000 and used it to celebrate not just Batman, but Robin and their relationship. And to go revisit that moment where Bruce made that decision to bring in Dick Grayson and to show the doubt he had and to show how Alfred was there to bounce that off of him and how Dick brought a lot of insight into the situation as well. I love how it, and then it flashes into the future when they're talking about it of how Dick succeeded where, I don't want to say Bruce failed, but how Dick was able to experience things that Bruce didn't because he was able to learn from what Bruce had already gone through. So I love this huge page where you see these moments in Dick Grayson's life of him with the Titans, of him as Robin, of him with Starfire, and then just showing like how important that relationship between Batman and Robin are. This one is awesome. Again, as you say, it's really short, but it goes back to the question of why is there a Robin, and this is a great explanation for that.
I think we're on the same page.
Yeah, so this one's great. For me, yeah, this one and Kevin Smith's, my two favorites. Awesome. And I was not shocked that James Tynion wrote it because it's awesome. All right, cool. Next one, Batman's Greatest Case. This one's written by Tom King and art by Tony S. Daniel and Joel Jones. And this one's very interesting. We're seeing Bruce Wayne visit the grave of his parents, but at the same time, he has gathered the entire Bat family on a rooftop in Gotham, and none of them know why they're there. Alfred is there just kind of gathering them, and they're having these conversations amongst themselves as far as, why are we here? Is it something you did? Is it something I did? Have you talked to this person? Is it about me? And just, you're seeing all the interaction between the Bat family while they're waiting for Bruce to arrive. Some of it's kind of funny. It's a lot of back and forth, a lot of character interaction. Eventually, Bruce shows up as Batman. He sticks a batarang in the wall. It is a camera batarang. He's gotten the Bat family together for a family photo. And so they take a family photo in, probably, I think one of the best splash pages in the entire book that is ruined by the crease of the entire Bat family together for this photo. And you find out that he is taking the picture of his new family and dropping it at the grave of his parents, his previous family. So, Jamie, thoughts on this one?
You know what? I actually really like this one right up to 1 point.
Okay.
Cheese. Get the flying F out of here with cheese. It's amazing how Tom King can screw me up with one word of dialogue. I think the artwork in this is probably my favorite in the entire book, though. I'm a big fan of Tony Daniel and Joel Jones both as artists, and I think the art here is gorgeous.
I really like this one too. I really like it. I'm not even bothered by cheese. I don't mind it. I like that. Just like the precedent was a celebration of Batman and Robin, this Tom King chose his story to make it a celebration of the Bat family, and I really love that. I like the idea of a family photo. I'm still not convinced. Like, I'm not sure Bruce would ever do that, but I'm willing to go with it. I like a lot of the interactions. Some of them are better than others, but I think it's fun to just throw them all in one place because that's something you don't get to see much. And so I think that it is a special moment for this special occasion to get the entire Bat family in one place, because you have Batwoman, I'm just doing it from the splash page. Batwoman, Red Hood, Batgirl, Nightwing, Alfred, Batman, Robin, Catwoman, Signal, Red Robin, Spoiler, Orphan, and Huntress.
And
Ace. And Ace. Ace is down in the corner. So, no, I like it as a celebration of the Bat family. I like the bookends of him again, like celebrating his new family while remembering his old family. I like it. I'm not in love with it because, again, I think some of the dialogue some of it's better than others. But overall, I really like the idea. I think it's a nice story.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm just impressed that Tom King wasn't like, I'm going to write one about Batman on his deathbed, because that's what Tom King likes to do. So
I for the most part, enjoyed this one. I did. Just that one little thing I would change. The some of the back and forth, as you said, is really good. Some of it is unnecessary and didn't need to be there to improve or to take away from the quality of the story. This is one of the few Tom King stories that you'll hear me say that much positive about, I guess. But no, I like this one.
Yeah, me too. I think it was.
I think this is one of the upper middle stories of the book, if I say so. Yeah,
I would agree. Cool. Then we got a couple insert pages. We got this really great art by, is it Michael Janine? Of Batman, the Riddler, and the Joker. I really like that piece. Then there's the 2-page spread by Jason Fabok and Brad Anderson, which I wanted to be a cover because it's my favorite. I think it's my favorite piece of art in the entire book. I just love it.
It's excellent.
I immediately found the high-res versions and added it to my rotating laptop wallpaper because it is gorgeous.
I love his rendition of Talia.
Where are you? Oh yeah,
right,
that's cool. There. Yeah, really cool. Yeah, this one is really awesome. I love it.
Yep.
And then there's another one by Amanda Connor and Paul Mounts, and it's Batman on a gargoyle, but in the stars above him are his parents.
Not crazy about that one.
Yeah, the parents feel a little too like otherworldly. It doesn't feel like Thomas and Martha Wayne. It feels almost like Jor-El and Lara, because their eyes are glowing and stuff, but I appreciate the idea. All right, and then that leads us to one final story here. This one is called Medieval. This one is written by Peter Tomasi and art by Doug
Monkey.
Monkey, all right, good. So this one is a series of one full-page splash pages while we are getting the inner dialogue of who we eventually find out is the Arkham Knight. Basically talking about he's watched Batman, he has seen what Batman does, he's seen how uncompromising Batman is, and Batman, has no bias and has his rules, and he has no empathy, and basically Batman is not good for the city, he's bad for the city, and you're getting all of this kind of justification for why he thinks Batman should be stopped, as we're seeing just great moments in Batman's history where Batman is fighting the Joker, and Batman is fighting Killer Croc, and Batman is fighting Man-Bat, and Mr. Freeze, and Poison Ivy, and Ra's al Ghul, and et cetera, et cetera. You kind of get a parade of rogues galleries while the Arkham Knight is basically saying, this is why Batman is bad. Batman is bad for Gotham, and he actually does say that. He goes, say it fast. Batman, bad man. Bat, bad. For me, they're one and the same. I'm like, okay. So he says, the people of Gotham deserve better than a Dark Knight. They will experience the hand of a fair and true servant at work, and they will bear witness to the Arkham Knight finally delivering justice to the Batman. This one is called Medieval, and this, I guess, is launching us into the next arc, starting with Detective 1001.
That is correct.
And Jamie, Medieval, or I guess the prelude to Medieval.
I enjoyed this. I think there's some fantastic art. I love the Dark Knight Returns nod with Batman with the knife sticking out of him, and Joker has the batarang sticking out of his arm. That's gorgeous. Him kind of doing the rodeo thing on Croc, I think, is really great. I mean, it just so much goodness going on in this artwork.
Well, so can I just say, I wanted this story minus all words so I could screen grab every panel or like every page, because I wanted every page as a separate piece of art as potential wallpaper, because you're right, like every page is gorgeous.
That rendition of Bane is fantastic. I mean, just
My
So
favorite
much
is the Mr. Freeze one. Oh my god, the Mr. Freeze one with Nora in the background and the frozen cops. Oh, so good.
So anyway, yeah, it's fine. I know what this is. It's kind of just the teaser leading into it. Much, we had this with Action 1000. I said I would have rather that Bendis would have done an actual effort story for this instead of a commercial for what he's getting ready to do. This one is less guilty of that, but still kind of along those lines. And that last page with the whole Batman thing, that's a little too much. It's a little too much.
Yeah, it's a bit much. I wasn't able to hide how I felt about that. I'm sorry. I was like, okay.
No, you're fine, right? But we're definitely on the same page with that thought. I think the Arkham Knight looks interesting. I think I'm intrigued to read this story. I thought Tomasi's run leading up to this Detective number 1000 was really good, although maybe a little questionable in that last issue, perhaps. I still enjoyed it. I just thought, I don't know. I don't want to get back into that. Anyway, I think it's a good teaser and not much more.
Okay. I mean, I think we're eye to eye on this. I really loved the art. Like I said, I loved every page. I didn't care for the words. I just thought it was a lot of nonsense, like it didn't hook me. It just felt like blah, blah, blah. Batman's bad by the next issue. So I didn't get engaged by the content, but I really loved the art. But hey, I get wanting, again, they did the same thing with Action 1000 is they wanted to hook you in for what's coming next. Am I intrigued enough to see what's coming next? Yes. But not in like I can't wait kind of way, especially because like I will be curious as to, is this Arkham Knight a new character? Since
it
we already
is not
have
the same as the game.
Okay, I assume it's not, because that would be
not
really
the same
hard.
identity, but anyway.
Yeah, but interesting that they're doing a different version of the Arkham Knight. So I'm intrigued enough, but it certainly wasn't a highlight. Art-wise, I think it was a highlight, but as far as the story goes, I wasn't super into it.
Yeah. Just kind of a stinger on the back end of things is all it really was.
Yeah, I almost don't count it as part of the celebration. It's like, oh, now that we've done all the stories, here's your little preview into what's next.
And I think they knew that too. That's why those other pinup pages were in between that the story before. So I'm fine. I'm giving it a pass based on that. But again, my chief complaint is the Batman thing. That's just what the hell were you thinking, Tomasi? Come on, man.
It's a bit silly.
He's a great writer. I'm a big fan of his work. I loved what he did with Superman. I like what I've read, so far with Detective and a little bit of his Batman and Robin run, things like that. He's a better writer than what that last page showed. Definitely.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. There's 96 pages of Detective Comics 1000. Impressive. Woo! So some final thoughts of this landmark issue of Detective Comics, Jamie?
I'm glad I got it. I'm glad it's over, so I don't have to worry about that enormous bill at the comic book shop. I'm going to pick up the ones that I ordered 2 months ago. But
the money's gone.
The money's gone. It's spent, done, over with, kaput. The covers, I like pretty much all the covers. I mean, I don't know that I want to sit here and take the time to tell you which one's my favorite and why or anything like that. I obviously told you I bought 2 of the Miller ones. I'm a Miller apologist, so. There's that. The stories, I mean, I don't really have anything else I want to talk about with these stories. I'm ready to move on to Detective 1027 now.
All right.
Or whatever huge landmark comes between now and then.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that mostly we see eye to eye. It's fun. I like that they made a big deal out of it, and I think that, as we talked about at the beginning, I think that the actual stories are a mixed bag. I loved the Kevin Smith one, and I loved the Precedent that James Tynion did. I loved those. I liked the Bat Family one from Tom King, and I liked the Brian Michael Bendis Penguin and Bruce one. I liked those, and then a couple of the ones were sort of forgettable, middle of the road, and I really hated the Leslie Tompkins one, and I really hated the Warren Ellis one. I'm already dead. Oh, come on. So It's very much a mixed bag, but hey, that's what happens when you get a bunch of people to write a bunch of Batman stories. They can't all be A+, but there's enough good in there that it was certainly enjoyable to read. And I love the idea of just getting that many influential Batman creators in there to take a pass and to add to the mix, to add to the soup, and be a part of the celebration. So it's really fun, and there is some really outstanding artwork throughout as well. I do like the standard Jim Lee cover, so that was the one that I was like, well, yeah, I actually really like that one. And then, inside, there's some really good art as well. So
did you see that there was a midnight release variant?
No.
It's basically, now the Lee cover is a wraparound.
Right.
So, you got the front and back. None of the other ones are wraparounds like that. The rest of them have Shazam advertisements, which is pretty cool. Great movie, by the way. The midnight release variant is the Jim Lee cover, but it's all on the front cover and it's turned sideways.
Oh, cool.
Which
nice.
Yeah.
Did you get that one?
Of course I got that one.
Oh,
but that was a late edition one. They just announced that like a month ago. Like I get all my they give me a previews magazine every month. I go through and I check off what I want and all that other stuff and add it to my pull list. That one was not in the solicitation for the previews that I saw. That was like a late edition one, and they were kind enough to save one of them for me. And apparently that's the one that went the quickest out of all of them for the standard store variants anyway.
Well, I mean, since you are putting their kids through college, it's the least they could do for you.
I know, right?
So, all right. Well, very cool. Detective number 1000. Woo! Exciting times. It will be interesting to see what they do for 1027. Anyway.
I anticipate much hubbub about it because they're apparently making money hand over fist on number 1000. So.
Because might as well.
Right.
Because who doesn't like money? Cool. Anyway, very fun. Glad we got to chat about it, and glad to do another totally Batman-centric episode, which always makes me happy. Now we are going to check in with you fine folks at home as we crack open the Wayne Manor mailbox. It's time again for the Wayne Manor mailbox.
You've got mail.
What is a letter for me?
Maybe temporary.
She wrote a letter.
You're one hell of a messenger. This is all, Master Wayne.
All right, first message here is from Weston. It says, "Hey, Andy and Jamie, I was listening to your 200th episode. I absolutely loved it. I love to listen to other people who love Batman. Thanks for giving a shout out to Commissioner Gordon as a member of the Bat family. Dick Grayson is my favorite member of the Bat family. However, I think Commissioner Gordon is often not given the credit he deserves. When watching almost any of the Batman movies or cartoons, seeing Commissioner Gordon is what helps me feel like I'm really in Gotham City. Why do you think Commissioner Gordon has been such a lasting and important part of the Batman mythos? I've noticed that not many other superheroes and comic books I've read have a Commissioner Gordon type character. Why do you think it works so well with Batman? Thanks, Weston." Weston, thank you for the message, and glad you liked episode 200. Jamie, what do you think? Why is Commissioner Gordon still working after all these years?
He's institutionalized.
Okay.
I don't know if you're familiar with that phrasing. It's basically where somebody goes to work because it becomes their life and they don't know what else to possibly do with themselves if they're not doing that job anymore. So they basically can't function with it. Like, I've seen this time and time again, people that I know that have retired and went back to work because they can't handle the idea of not being at work and doing something that they feel is productive with their lives.
Mm-hmm.
So something along those lines, probably.
All right. Yeah, I love Jim Gordon. I mean, Jim Gordon is Batman's best friend. And I've always loved that. And I've loved that Jim Gordon being like the, what's the right word? I don't know, official. Like he's the one who's actually on the right side of the law, but understanding the need for Batman who is on the outside of the law. And I just think that that's a really cool dynamic, and the mutual trust that they have for each other. I think it's just it's one of those magical relationships in comics that has just stood the test of time because there's just a lot you can do with that of someone actually being a police officer, and then Batman, who could not be a police officer, but them still finding a way to work together. But yeah, I agree. I think he's one of the best members of the Bat family. Next message is from Patrick Johnson. It says, longtime listener, first time writer. Hi, Patrick. It says, I love your show. 2 questions. First off, did Andy, Jamie, and Brendan ever share their impressions of the newest Halloween film on RF for RM? On topic, seeing as Andy likes the Riddler, my favorite Bat villain too, have you ever read Riddle Me That from Batman Legends of the Dark Knight? Numbers 185 to 189. If you have, please share your thoughts. If not, I highly recommend it. It's one of the best Riddler arcs ever. Keep up the amazing work, guys. Your positive attitude towards all things DC is what brought me to your site initially, and it's what keeps me hungry for more. Excelsior. Patrick, thank you for finally writing in. Question number 1, the new Halloween film, 2018. We talked a little bit about it on one of the year-end wrap-ups because Jamie and Guy Milks did not care for it, but I really liked it. But we did not dedicate an episode to it, which I wish we had, but like knowing that Guy and Jamie didn't like it, maybe I'm glad we didn't, because then I would have been like the kid in the corner, like trying to defend myself.
Yeah, if he likes us because of positivity, I'm not going to get to talking about that movie.
I just rewatched it last week, actually. I still like it.
You know what? That's the best Michael Myers I've seen since Halloween 1. I'll give it that.
There you go. But yeah, we did not do a full-on episode. I mean, it would be fun to do it. There's no law that says we have to do something when it's brand new. But yeah, because Jamie and Guy didn't like it, and because it was October, we just never made it happen. And then as for Riddle Me That from Legends of the Dark Knight, I did read that recently because someone else recommended it. I enjoyed it. I don't remember all the details, but I remember liking it because some people had said it was really good. I think it was an interesting take because like the Riddler kind of changed who he was, and it didn't take because then the Riddler kind of reverted back to who he's always been. But yeah, I thought it was interesting. I wouldn't put it as like one of the best Riddler arcs ever. I'm not quite as in love with it as it sounds like you are, but it was certainly an interesting version of the Riddler. Jamie, did you read that one?
I have not.
I think that was also a Guy Milks recommendation. I think he's the one who made me read it. And I was like, and I read it, but like, it was weird. It was like the Riddler got plastic surgery and he stopped being the Riddler. So he was like kind of still the Riddler. And I don't know, like, I didn't like that it was like essentially deconstructing the Riddler. I prefer the Riddler to be the Riddler.
Okay.
Anyway. So
Milks will give you some recommendations that are not run-of-the-mill stuff. I will say that.
Yeah, I mean, again, it was an interesting story to be like, hey, what if the Riddler changed everything? But I'm like, well, I don't want him to change everything. I like who the Riddler is. All right, next message is from Scott Anderson. It says, hey, Andy and Jamie, first off, I want to thank you for the show. I don't have many friends who I can talk to about Batman and DC. Your show has been my primary outlet to scratch that DC itch. I really appreciate how you're open to others' opinions and consistently look for the good in everything DC. It's easy to become jaded and join the toxicity that seems to be the DC fan base on Twitter, so I'm grateful that you've resisted the urge. I'd love to hear your opinions on Batman the Dark Prince Charming and Batman White Knight. As one who waits for trades to come out, I've just read them and I loved their different takes on Batman. Thanks again for all you do for Bat fans who would be lonely in their fandom without you. Scott Anderson. Scott, thank you so much for the message. Well, I have not read either yet, so I have nothing to add. I've got White Knight ready to go because we will do an episode on it. It's just a matter of timing, so it is like sitting there just waiting for me, but I'm waiting until we are ready to cover it on the show. But I know Jamie loves it.
Jamie does love White Knight. It's one of my favorite Batman stories ever at this point. I think it's absolutely magnificent. And Dark Prince Charming, I think, suffered from an unfortunate case of, number one, there was like a 4-month gap between issues number 1 and number 2 on a 2-issue series. And number 2, it was a very expensive book. I think they were like $10 or $12 a piece because they were like super premium format. So I don't think a lot of people picked that one up, and that's kind of sad because that was also a very good story. It's not quite White Knight caliber, But the artwork in that one, that was done by an Italian writer and artist. Forgive me, I can't recall his name off the top of my head, but this guy is extremely talented in both departments there. That artwork in that was amazing, and I thought that story was quite gripping.
All right. Sweet. Thank you. Next message is from our pal Tim Rooney. It says, "Hey, Holy BatCasters. Tim Rooney here. I've got a hypothetical question for you. Let's say that Matt Reeves' Batman comes out to not only a roaring success, but shows a Bat family exists in the world. Therefore, Warner Brothers uses a Star Wars type release schedule where one year we have a Batman film and next we have a Bat family movie. Nightwing, Robin, Batgirl, Batwoman, etc. Would the general public go for that? But more importantly, how would you react to that? Anyway, thank you for reading my email. Have a wonderful day, Tim Rooney." Jamie?
I'd be okay with that. How the general public would react to it? I mean, I don't know. You keep hearing this idea that superhero fatigue is going to kick in. Meanwhile, Captain Marvel's like $10 million short of $1 billion. So.
Yeah, I mean, I would kill for that. A Batman movie, then a Nightwing movie. A Batman movie, then a Batgirl movie. A Batman movie, then a Robin movie. Yeah, I could not throw money at that fast enough. And I think that, it seems that the general public is not tiring of superhero movies either. So I like your plan, Tim. I'm on board. Next message here is from Condor Zolander. It says, "Hey, Holy BatCast family. I was watching True Lies, and there's a scene where Arnold was riding a horse, which leads me to this question. Would Arnold Schwarzenegger have been great as Batman back in the day?"
No.
I remember reading that WB wanted Batman to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger for Batman 89. Well, Jamie just answered, and I agree. I love Arnold, but not as Batman.
I remember my freshman year in high school, which was, as summer was coming to a close on, Batman 89, or excuse me, the summer of 89. And I'd had the bat symbol, of course, shaved in the back of my head, and the guys in the football locker room, they're like, "Oh yeah, the Batman. I love that movie." One guy's like, "Yeah, I just wish he could have fly." The other guy said, "That's Superman, you idiot." And then they're like, yeah, somebody bigger should have played Batman. I'm just like, yeah, okay. I'm with you. I understand what you're saying. He's like, yeah, it could have been like Sylvester Stallone or Arnold Schwarzenegger. And another guy started doing like voice impressions of both of them. And I don't know why. I still find that funny to this day because I'm not even going to embarrass myself trying to sound like the two of them. But he's like, hey, yo, I'm Batman or something. Yeah, it was really funny. So no, I don't see that at all.
Yeah, I would agree. Next message is from AJ Hansen. It says, "For all the well-deserved crap that the movie Batman and Robin takes throughout Bat fandom, and really fans of good movies in general, I actually have a story that sheds a positive light on the steaming pile that is Batman and Robin. To start, it is by far the Batman movie I've seen more than any other for one reason. When my son was around 3.5, he broke his femur. To properly set the bone, he was put in what could only be described as a full leg and half cast, which obviously caused his mobility to be limited. We spent a lot of time watching movies, and mainly his favorite movie at the time, which was, of course, Batman and Robin. I can't even estimate how many times we sat in his room and watched that movie. For all the critiques myself and everyone may have of the movie, it will always hold a special place in my heart. When he got in his teens, he ended up being the person that introduced me to a lot of Batman's famous storylines, which in turn got me researching Batman's entire history. I started buying comics, graphic novels, along with all the animated stuff. I wouldn't be the Bat fan I am today without him. So he more than made up for having to me sit through Batman and Robin hundreds of times. Thanks, Seth. I love you, buddy. Have a great day, Holy BatCasters. I just wanted to share that with you. AJ, that's awesome. I love that. And that's just it, I guess, is like if you were at a certain age when that movie was out and you were just excited for a Batman movie, I'm sure it created its own share of Bat fans. And I love that it was your son's favorite and then he got you into Batman. And that is a wonderful thing to come out of that movie.
I ain't even mad at it. As long as nobody's trying to make me watch it again, I ain't even mad at it.
Well, what if your son broke his leg and it's his favorite movie?
Well, it's not his favorite movie, so we're okay.
Okay.
We did just watch Dark Knight Returns together, and then as soon as that was over, he wanted to watch The Dark Knight, but it was time for me to go to bed. He's on spring break, so he just stays up and does whatever now.
Nice. All right, next message is from Odile Jones. It says, "Hey guys, I'm a huge fan from London. I love listening to your show on my way back from work or when I'm taking a walk. You always put a smile on this girl's face. My question is, with the ever-evolving DC movie slate, it seems like Justice League Dark may happen. However, there's also been rumors of a Zatanna solo film. Which would you prefer first and why? For me, I think if the Worlds of DC are potentially focusing more on female characters with Wonder Woman 84, Birds of Prey, Batgirl, etc., then Zatanna should definitely get a solo film. She's never really gotten her due as a lead character aside from the Paul Dini series. The fact that her magic is sort of limitless means there are loads of creative ways to depict her on screen. Plus, if they really lean into giving her this artsy bohemian personality, a bit like how she's depicted in the DC superhero girls, I think she could hold her own really well. Not to mention, it would be interesting to explore a character who is famous. In this day and age with celebrity culture, there's a lot of cool things and commentary you could do with that. I want to see Justice League Dark. However, I think the main members like Zatanna, Constantine, maybe Deadman should get solo films before they team up. What do you guys think? You guys are awesome. Odile Jones. Odile, first of all, I hope I say Odile right. Odile? Anyway, I hope I'm saying it right. Thank you for the message. Jamie, what do you think? Zatanna and Justice League Dark?
It's the first I've heard of Zatanna getting a solo film, but I certainly wouldn't oppose it. As far as which one I would prefer to come first, I mean, I'm okay either way. My personal preference would be for Justice League Dark just because you get more characters in one shot. So you get, a Swamp Thing, probably Constantine, Deadman, stuff like that. So nothing against Zatanna, but, if I can get 6 characters in one movie instead of one, I'm okay with that.
Cool. I agree with you. I would have gone with Justice League Dark first as well. But because, same. I just want all the toys because I'm greedy. But I think that Zatanna, I had not heard anything about a solo film, but I mean, with all the films being considered, it certainly wouldn't shock me if it was being explored. And I think she could hold her own. I think that the cool thing about Zatanna is she is very much a unique character unto herself. And you haven't seen a character like her out there. I think the closest you could say was Doctor Strange, maybe. But even that feels pretty different than who Zatanna is. So I think there is certainly a nice little niche there that hasn't been filled that Zatanna could stand out and be her own thing. So I'd love it. Next message is from Evan Baker. It says, "Hey, Andy, Jamie, and Mr. Kirk Langstrom, but for koalas. I'm here to talk to you about Batman versus TMNT. I want to know your thoughts about it, and if you think 7 villains is a little too many, I think it might get a little crowded. Thoughts? Your long-lost Bat brother, Evan Baker." Evan, thank you for the message. Well, yeah, we didn't get to talk about it, but there has been a trailer for Batman versus TMNT, and I can't wait because those are two things that I love, Batman and Ninja Turtles. It's like chocolate and peanut butter. Put them together. I am all for it. I'm psyched for it. Jamie, thoughts?
I have not seen the trailer, but if it's anything like the comic book series it's apparently based on, hell yes. It cannot get here soon enough.
Totally. 7 villains, is it a little too many? I mean, yeah, that's a lot to fit in, but I have faith. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt until I see it. It doesn't concern me. Let's say that.
Have you seen the trailer?
Oh, yeah.
Is it pretty seeming like it's going to be kind of faithful to that Titan story, or?
Hard to tell.
Okay.
I hope it is, but the trailer was sort of ambiguous enough that I wasn't really sure what the story was. So it wasn't super clear that it was being directly based off of the miniseries.
Gotcha.
So we shall see.
Part 3
I hope
of that's
so too, because I love that.
Too, by the way.
Nice. But yeah, I'm really excited for that one. Next message is from Dr. Mario McZelda. It says, "Hey, Andy, Jamie, and Brendan. What's going on? I hope you're well. With the recent news that Arrow is concluding with the 2019's 8th and final season, do you think this could open a way for a Green Arrow feature film to get made? He's my favorite DC superhero, and that rumored Escape from Supermax script always sounded awesome. Somehow he's imprisoned and has to battle his way out of the prison, running into villains like Deathstroke, Deadshot, the Riddler, Mr. Freeze, Joker, and Killer Croc. Thoughts? Also, who would you want to play Oliver Queen in a movie? All the best, Bruce J. Linklater." Thanks, Bruce. Jamie, thoughts on a Green Arrow movie?
I'd be okay with that. I don't see that happening, at least not in that format that he's talking about, because that's some really heavy hitters. I mean, I can understand the idea of, selling tickets based on name recognition there, but I don't know. That sounds mighty ambitious for a Green Arrow movie to me. I mean, you basically got a Legion of Doom fighting Green Arrow at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I've always loved that premise. It was always sounded great, but at this point, I feel like the script has been collecting dust for like over a decade, and I just think that ship may have sailed. If they decided to dust it off and go for it, I would support it wholeheartedly. I mean, I don't know if a Green Arrow feature film is something that would go into development, but I think that seeing Green Arrow on the big screen becomes a lot more likely with Arrow ending up. And then who should play him? Oh man, like I don't know. I feel like I've seen some fan casts out there, but I don't have strong feelings about it. Jamie, do you have anyone on your wish list for Green Arrow?
Does he have to be blonde?
I mean, he usually does, but
because for some reason I've got Ben Foster in my head.
Oh, I like Ben Foster. I could be down with that. Yeah, I mean, the one I've always heard is Charlie Hunnam. Like, that's the one I think the most fans say. For me, I'm like, okay, like, I haven't loved Charlie Hunnam in anything I've seen him in. But
he was pretty good in Triple Frontier, if you haven't seen that. But
I have not seen that. So, yeah, but aside from that, I don't have anyone else in mind. I haven't really thought about it.
He definitely has the look, but I'm with you. He's very hit and miss for me as far as his turn-ins. So. Yeah.
Cool. Next message is from Pastor Jasmine. It says, "Greetings, Bat family. Which of these actors do you think could have played Poison Ivy in Batman 66? Tina Louise, who played Ginger from Gilligan's Island, Anne Margaret, Jane Fonda, or Raquel Welch?" I would just say yes.
I'm not fighting you on any of those.
All four of those would be great. I like all of them, and I think I could see them all being a really good 60s Poison Ivy.
My head went straight to Sophia Loren, but I ain't fighting you on none of those choices.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, throw her in too. If you force me to pick one, I'm gonna say Raquel Welch, because why not? But I think all of them would be awesome.
No argument here.
Next message is from Tommy Sanders. It says, "Greetings, Bat family. After watching his performance as Bison in Street Fighter with Jean-Claude Van Damme, would Raul Julia had been a great actor playing a Batman villain? I always imagined him playing Two-Face. He would have been perfect for the role." Tommy, thanks for the message. What do you think, Jamie? Raul Julia.
Been a hell of a Ra's al Ghul.
Back in the day. Oh, that's valid. I think he could have been a great Mr. Freeze.
Guy's a solid actor. I mean, he could have been whatever the hell he wanted to be, really.
Yeah. I mean, I think he was a great actor. And so, yeah, I think back in the day, he could have been really good. Two-Face, I think he could have done well with that. I still wanted Billy D. Williams to get his chance. But, yeah, I think that there were a couple options where Raul Julia could have been really good. All right, last email.
Raul al Ghul. That just has a ring to it, doesn't it? Raul al Ghul. I like that.
Oh, yeah. One last email here from Franklin Gnosis. It says, "Hey, Andy and Jamie, I recently saw your picture on Instagram, Andy, with Kevin Conroy. I forgot to mention to you guys that Kevin Conroy came to Rhode Island Comic-Con last October, and I finally met him. I was just so starstruck to finally, meet the man who voiced my favorite superhero growing up. Anyways, I thought I should share that with you guys. Take care. Keep doing what you're doing, Franklin." Franklin, thank you for the message, and that's awesome. Yeah, I had never met Kevin Conroy before, shockingly. Because, yeah, you would think that with all the Comic-Cons I go to and stuff that our paths would have crossed, but they hadn't. And then yesterday, because, yeah, I'm just recording this the day after, I was just walking the Comic-Con or the WonderCon floor, and there he was, and I was like, well, maybe today's the day, so... Yeah, it was as good a day as any. So I went.
So you just bumped into him in the hallway? You didn't even wait in a line to meet him or anything?
Oh no, he was at his table.
Oh, okay.
But but there was no line, and I was like, really? Kevin Conroy just kind of sitting there, with nobody? And so I was like, well, shit, he's Batman. I should meet Batman. I mean, I've met other Batmen, but like, I'm like, yeah, like this is definitely one I should check off the list. And so, I got the autograph and it's really nice and I'm going to frame that. And I got the photo and, yeah, he was perfectly pleasant, just a lovely guy, which he's who you see, like when you see him do interviews, like that's just who he is. He's just that nice and soft spoken and gentle and just a nice guy. So, yeah, it was really cool. It was the highlight of my WonderCon experience. And yeah, when I posted that photo, a lot of people said what you did, Franklin, is just, oh, I got to meet him at Comic-Con and he was wonderful. And I'm glad that everyone had the same experience. Just Kevin Conroy, a heck of a good guy.
Does my heart good to hear that. I've never heard a bad account of somebody meeting him at all. And I love that.
Yeah, I don't think there is one. So, yeah. But I mean, it is crazy to think that he has been the voice of Batman for now 27 years.
Yep.
Yeah, 27 years.
That's a minute.
Yeah. So, but yeah, like the different things he could sign. Like, I didn't bring anything for him to sign because I didn't know. Like, I didn't plan ahead. I didn't think he would be there. I didn't even cross my mind. And so I just grabbed one of the photos that he had, and he had like, Arkham City, I think, like the video game. He had the Killing Joke. He had just a headshot of himself. And then he had like the classic Batman the Animated Series. And of course, that was the one I had to get. The Batman the Animated Series, still like kind of a no-brainer. So, yeah, very cool. And Franklin, thank you for sharing your experience as well. All right. Well, that is it for emails. So thank you to everybody who did write in. We got one voicemail, so let's check that out before we wrap this baby up.
Hi, Andy, Jamie, and Brendan. This is Jason, and I have two questions. Number one, what do you guys think of the Batman Hush announcement and the Batman vs. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles trailer? And number two, what do you think of Gotham's final season so far? I mean, I know what my favorite episode is. It's the East Chemical one. I just want to know what you think of it and stuff. Anyways, I hope you guys have a good show. Bye.
Hey, Jason, good to hear from you. Okay, so a couple questions. Our thoughts on the new animated Batman Hush, as well as Batman and Ninja Turtles, which we did discuss. So Batman and Ninja Turtles, I think we're good. We're both super into it. We're excited. Jamie has not watched the trailer, but it's awesome. Batman Hush, Jamie, have you seen the stuff that's just recently come out for that?
Nope.
Okay, great. Good talk. Good visit.
I mean, I'm certainly very interested in seeing the finished product of that, but I have not seen any of the, what is it, like casting announcements that they've had now, or what is
so they did the voice cast as well as the first couple photos, and then the little trailer sneak peek just recently came out, and so I did watch that yesterday.
I've seen none of that. None.
Well, let me say this. I'm really looking forward to Batman Hush, the animated version. They've made the choice to set it in the same continuity as Justice League War and Death of Superman and all of those, Throne of Atlantis, Son of Batman. Like they decided to make it one of the in-continuity movies. That disappointed me. I wanted it to be its own thing. So that way they could try to change the art style to more closely reflect the book. But instead, the art pretty much looks like those other films. And not that that art style is bad, but I just wanted them to... For Hush, for me, I think it is a good story with exceptional art.
Do you not remember what happened the last time an animated show tried to emulate Jim Lee's art style?
Well, okay. You have a good point.
Not that I didn't love that show, mind you. I do love that show, but they should not have tried to copy that art style.
But it's also 25 years later.
Fair point.
You know, like, they could try. Like, I don't know. I would have liked to have seen them try, and I feel like this is going the easier route. That said, the sneak peek really still got me excited about it. It does seem like they're trying to get the, getting as much of that story into it as possible. So I'm looking forward to it. I wanted it to be more of a one-off like Dark Knight Returns, because that's a perfect example of how they were able to emulate the style of the book and make it work. I kind of wanted them to do the same with Hush. Doesn't seem like that's what we're getting, and that disappointed me a little bit.
But to be fair, isn't well? I mean, here's the weird thing though, because Hush was an in continuity story, but it's not a New 52 in continuity story. So that's kind of where the bump in the road is for me.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I guess you could also say that like Justice League War was based on a Jim Lee book, so it's already somewhat trying to emulate his style.
Maybe.
Sorta. But anyway, I'm still looking forward to it. I hope it's great. And that sneak peek really did, still got me excited. Ninja Turtles, yeah, I can't wait for that. And then he asked, what have you thought of Gotham's final season? Jamie, I want to hear all about it. Please tell me all your thoughts on this final season of Gotham.
I saw the final form Joker picture or whatever you want to call that was released today. And in every post that I've seen it in, I've put a GIF of Michael Jackson's Thriller on it because that's what I think of when I see it.
Oh, okay. Great. I'm a few episodes behind. I have been watching it. I think it's been, it's been fine. I some of it's been good. Some of it I've really liked. Some of it not so much. To me, it just feels like another season of Gotham. It didn't really feel like they were wrapping things up yet. Which is really going to happen over the next few episodes. Because I think there's only 2 episodes left, actually. But yeah, I mean, the final season, I've been a little let down. I wanted them to like go all in on the final season, and I think they will the last couple episodes. But up until now, it still just felt like, oh, it's just another season of kind of more of the same stuff, which I like some of, and some of it I don't. But yeah, I wish I was in love with it, but I'm not. It's okay. There you go. So that is it for the Wayne Manor mailbox. Thank you for those of you who wrote in. If you would like to send us an email, you can send that to holybatcast@rf4rm.com, or you can leave us a voicemail at 323-366-9246. But that's where we're going to wrap up this episode of Holy BatCast. It's good to be back, Jamie.
Yeah, it's good to have you back. It's weird sitting around here. All I do, it's like I'm like that SpongeBob gif where he's sitting in the shop and the coffee's just steaming in front of him and he's got his hands folded and he's just kind of looking down at the table. That's me without you here.
And there's so much more that we like should and need to talk about, but it's going to have to, we'll find another time and see what we can do.
Right on.
But in the meantime, we did this, which is, I mean, I felt like Detective Comics 1000 had to come first before all that other stuff. And then we do have Shazam in a few days. Everyone else has already seen it. I'm the only one who hasn't, but I'm finally going to see it on opening night.
Spoilers, it's freaking great.
That's all I've heard, which makes me very happy. I can't wait. But yeah, I even like looked at the Chinese theaters in case it opened there early, but it did not. It opens there on April 5th. They're doing day and date in China. So curses. Foiled again. But yeah, that's coming up. So, I mean, odds are good that'll be our next episode. But Jamie, in the meantime, if the folks at home want to keep up with you, where can they do that?
You can find me on the tweets at BatRaider3960 and find me floating around various Real Fans groups and podcasts on Facebook and wherever you get podcasts at. Probably where you got this one.
There you go. Perfect. I already told you where to follow me. So, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for downloading the show. Please do subscribe to the show. We really appreciate that. Please rate and review us on iTunes. We know not everybody can be on Patreon. That's fine. It's okay. We love you anyway, but something that you can do that's free is just review us on iTunes. That would be great. And visit holybatcast.com. Follow the show on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search for Holy BatCast. And then you can email us at holybatcast@rf4rm.com, or again, leave us a voicemail at 323-366-9246. But that will do it for this episode. Thanks for joining us. On behalf of Jamie, I've been Andy. This has been Holy BatCast, and we'll see you next time. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Holy BatCast is brought to you by real fans for real movies. Remember, the thoughts and opinions shared by the participants are theirs and theirs alone, and do not represent the companies or organizations they happen to work for.
This is a big score, gentlemen. It's the bat! Fire! Fire! Do I look like a friggin' bat to you? Huh?